get into AFL round 12. But first of all, we'll recap our round 11 picks. So for last week, we tipped the Swans, who won. We tipped the Pies, who had a draw, so we'll count that as a half win. We tipped the Suns, but the Blues won. Port won, who we tipped. GWS, Essendon, who we both tipped. We tipped Brisbane, unfortunately, but the Hawks won that game. We had the D's, and they won, and the Crows, who won as well. So pretty good for us there. And then we'll move on to our target picks from last week and how we went. So we had Gouldem for 25, who had 25. Dacos for 30 plus, who had 35. Akers for 20, who had 26. Willie Rioli we had for 2+ goals, but he didn't play. Toby Green, 15+ disposals, but he had 24, so that's a hit. Jade Gresham for 15+, he just scraped through with 15. We had Lockie Neal for 25+, who had 29. We had Pickett for 2+ goals. He unfortunately had 1, so we missed there. And we had Crouch for 25+ disposals, who had 30. So pretty good there. Went pretty close to hitting all of those. Rick, what were your thoughts on that round last week?
Yeah, great round for us. In terms of our results, I think it was the third most profitable week we've had at Playmakers Elite, which was massive for our members. In terms of the games, yeah, great games. We obviously did really well with our tips. So with that in mind, we're going to be doing a Playmakers Elite Multi of the week, combining our best tips from each game and putting them together. So that will be at the end of this. And before we get into that, let's break down these games coming up. So on Thursday, we've got Port 3rd place and Carlton in 8th place at the moment. I'm picking Port to win this one in a really, really close game. Port are coming back home this week, and they're on a 3-game win streak at the moment. They beat Geelong, which was a big win for them. They came back against the Hawks a couple of weeks ago, which was a massive win, and they also beat Norths as well. And I think they'll be tested against a Carlton side who they just simply outclassed the Suns. They had a great performance. Charlie Curnow kicked 4 goals against Mac Andrew, who was matching up really well against them. That was a really good little battle that they had. So yeah, and Port, they're starting to get their mojo back. They're starting to contend with the top sides now, and you got Connor Rozee back in the lineup, their captain, which is going to be massive for them. And they've also won 4 out of 5 games at home this season. So Carlton, they'll need a strong performance, and they've had a bit of an up and down month of May so far. So a win against Port at home would really, really do them with some confidence. But I'm picking Port to edge this one out. So yeah, what about you, Sam?
Yeah, I can't see really Port Adelaide doing too bad at home. They've won 4 out of 5 games at home this year, so I think they've got this one in the bag against Carlton. And then we've got a Friday game this week, so we've got the Pies and the Dogs. Rick, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this will be another really, really good game. There's value at the Pies at the moment, so at the time of this recording, they're about $1.70 on Sportsbet, and that's probably because of their injuries to Mason Cox, Jordan De Groe, Brody Mychek, Will Hoskin-Elliott, and Tom Mitchell. So missing a few key players, Collingwood. They had the game in their hands against Freo in a really, really weird fourth quarter. Ended up seeing both teams draw, so that was unfortunate for both sides, actually, who probably would have wanted to see a result. And yeah, talking about the Doggies, yeah, they competed against the Swans pretty much the entire game, but it came down towards the end of the third quarter when the Swans started to gain a bit of momentum, and from there they sort of ran away with the game and they were just able to close out. But the Doggies are starting to pick up some form now, which is good. They had a really shaky few weeks before that, but then they ended up beating the Giants, which would have done a massive for them, for their confidence. So it should be a really, really close game again, I think. But I think Nick Dacos will probably have another masterclass of a performance, and they'll probably seal Collingwood to a really close win. So I'm picking the Pies for this.
Yeah, I'm going with the Dogs here. I just think the Pies' injuries are probably a bit too much. The Doggies, they just made too many errors in the third quarter last week against the Swans. But Yeah, I think Nick Dacos should be in for a really good game. I've got the doggies here. Yeah, a Bond masterclass as well.
Yeah, I think he's due for one as well. So yeah, that should be a really, really good game for Friday night. And then let's move on to the Saturday games. So we've got the Hawks, who are in 14th place, against the Crows, who are in 12th place, creeping up to that top 8 now. I'm picking the Crows to win this one. They dominated West Coast pretty convincingly, beating them by 99 points. They probably just took their emotions out on a rebuilding Eagles team after losing an absolute thriller to the Pies at the MCG a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, going to the Hawks, they would have been nervous watching that Lions game during certain periods of that game. Lions started to creep back in the third quarter, but they just played completely flat. And I think it was more the Lions just being not good enough and the Hawks just, getting through that game. But I think it was just more the Lions just not performing. So yeah, that would have done them a bit of confidence, the Hawks. But I think the Crows, again, I think there's I think between second and third to about 11th and 12th, there's not really much separation between second and 12th, I think. So it's really imperative for those teams just outside the top 8 to win these next few games. And I think Adelaide are a really underrated side. They've probably been hard done by with a tough draw to start off their season. But I think the draw is starting to open up for them, and I think they should dismantle the Hawks pretty easily.
Yeah, although the Hawks had a pretty, I'd say, a good win against the Lions last week, even though the Lions were pretty sloppy, I still don't think their confidence will be enough to compete with the Crows. Like, as you said, that draw is really opening up for the Crows, and they'll probably carry some momentum into this week, and then they're really anticipating the second half of the season, I guess. Yeah, I'm going with the Crows as well for this one. And then we got our second game on the Saturday. We got the West Coast Eagles taking on the Saints. Yeah, this is just two bad teams. Like, not even worth watching this game. Not gonna lie, we've got West Coast at home, and they're just the faves edging out the Saints. Rick, I don't know. I just don't even like watching these bad games because they're just two bad sides facing each other.
I think what would rub salt in the wounds even more is Kelly Underwood commentating this game. That would sort of just put the cherry on top with that. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she's on commentary for this game. But yeah, I'm picking the Saints to win. I actually think this will be a really close game again. But the Saints, yeah, they've only won 1 out of their last 5 matchups, and they've only managed to score 53, 55, and 62 points in their last 3 games. So yeah, it hasn't been good for them on the attacking side, but West Coast, they like to leak out a lot of points as well. So this could be a chance for the Saints to sort of put some points on the board. They did against North. They put about, I think, 103 when they played against them in that one win that they had in their last 5. But yeah, I think the Saints just edge it out, which will actually be a big win for them away. They'll be playing in West Australia, and the West Australian crowd, they'll probably get around West Coast, but probably more so Harley Reid. So yeah, Sam, who do you have for that?
Yeah, I'm actually going to go the Eagles. They're at home, so I think, yeah, just two bad teams in AFL. I think the home side will just be a bit too strong with that home crowd. I've just got to go, yeah, West Coast in this one, just to spice things up a bit.
Yeah.
And then our final game of Saturday, we've got the Cats taking on the Tigers. Saturday, yeah. Yeah, they're not a great team. They just won't. It's just another game where it's like, who's going to win. I feel like with other sports, upsets are almost more common, or like the underdog team can compete a bit more against a really good side, like in the NRL. But yeah, I just can't see Richmond even getting close to the Cats in this one. The Cats are at home, and although they've lost 4 straight after their loss to GWS last week, they're going to turn things around this game. We all know that.
Yeah, I think that's the only time, I think, since Chris Scott's been coaching Geelong that they've ever lost 4 straight. So that's big in itself. But yeah, I think Geelong will bounce back big. They're pretty dominant side at GMHBA. I think it's just the Giants that always just have the upper hand every time they go over there in Geelong. But I think, yeah, the Cats will probably dominate this game. Even though Richmond, they did put up a really, really valiant performance against Essendon last week. They fought through the very end. Credit to them. They played their ass out. But I think this week, it's probably the Cats that just, run rampant, especially losing at home last week. Back at home again, they'll look to put on a really solid performance for their home side. For Sunday, we've got the Suns coming in 10th place at the moment, and the Bombers are in second place at the Bombers. Sam, who do you have for this one?
Yeah, I've got the Suns. They're at home. I think they're starting to play a little bit better. I was a bit disappointed with their midfield last week. And being back at home, I hope they stand up to the challenge, I guess. They're going to be facing a quality side here, so I think it'll be tough for them, but I expect their midfield to bounce back because they were really disappointing last week.
Yeah, agree. Well, I think we tipped Tuke Miller in our bets to get to 25. He got 21, but I think he led the entire Suns team with disposals. So, yeah, none of their mids, like Noah Anderson. Matty Rao had a really quiet game as well. So, yeah, probably not their best performance, the Suns, and they haven't actually had a good away record, I think, in the past 3 years. I think they're like 6-30 or something.
Yeah, they're not
At
great
away.
away.
But at home, they're really strong, especially this year. They've won 6 out of 7 games that they've played at home this year. So, good opportunity for the Suns to bounce back. But I'm taking the Bombers. They're probably the hottest side in the comp at the moment. Yeah, I can see them, winning a really, really close game up at the Gold Coast. Yeah, this will probably be one of the games to watch actually for this weekend. So I'm looking forward to this game, but I'm taking the Bombers to edge this one out.
Alrighty, and on Sunday, we've got the Demons taking on the Dockers. Now, the Demons are the faves in this game, but the game's also being played in Alice Springs. Freo, they've been pretty hot and cold all year. Rick, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think this will be a pretty low-scoring game up at Alice Springs. Weather should be quite warm. I think the players will probably struggle a bit. Probably a Gold Coast type of game, to be honest. They love playing in Alice Springs. They love just playing in the heat. But again, it'll be a low-scoring game. I think this will be a really, really good game to watch, to be honest. Really tight game. Melbourne coming off a good win against St Kilda. Freo, yeah, they were a bit off in that game, but woke up in the fourth quarter and tied the game up and ended up in a draw against Collingwood. So that's big for them. They would have loved to see a result, but no, I'm taking the D's to win this one.
Yeah, I'm taking the D's as well for this one here.
All right, and without further ado, we're gonna head into the Playmakers Elite Multi of the week. So we've done our analysis for this week's games, and we've picked a player that we're targeting for each of the games of round 12 of the AFL. We're going to put them together in a multi. Let us know if you get on it, and hopefully, good luck. Hopefully they hit. We only missed one leg from last week's target, so let's get straight into it, Sam. So we've picked Dan Houston for 20 plus disposals, Josh Dacos for 20 plus disposals, Jai Newcomb for 20 plus disposals, Jack Sinclair for 25 plus disposals, Liam Baker for 20 plus disposals, Andrew Brayshaw for 25 plus disposals, and Jade Gresham for 15 plus disposals. So that should give us about $7 odds on Sportsbet. Hopefully they all hit. It'll be massive if they do. And again, yeah, let us know in the comments if you get around it. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.